Since I've been little, I've been going to LA like multiple times a year because my mom's family lives down there. But in all the times I've been there, we've never even been anywhere near Skid Row or Boyle Heights or anything like that. I never really knew it existed.
It's supposed to be like glamour and like tall buildings, nice cars and stuff like that, but like there's parts that are just like really absurd as far as like poverty goes, and that was Skid Row. It's crazy.
And there you could see kind of silhouetted all the cardboard boxes and homeless people and all this evidence of destitution. But then right above that there was a cement bridge, and right behind that there was this towering skyscraper with the logo of a bank on it. I think the LA Immersion's greatest impact for me was to completely reverse the way I thought about the places we live, because a lot of times you kind of see poverty or the homelessness we saw there was on the outside, but on this trip we got a shocking look at how it's all around us, and it is where we live. It's not some problem we're removed from.
The idea of hearing these stories and the perspective of these people that are living on the streets, it really like put my life into focus, kind of, and it showed me all the opportunities that have been open to me. I don't really appreciate what I'm given: a family, house, food, all are just given to me every day, and it's just...
I definitely went in kind of thinking of myself as a very open-minded, kind of progressive person. But when I was actually forced out of my comfort zone, I realized how small my comfort zone actually was.
I think that moment when we all stepped outside and like went out and confronted them as people and realized that they weren't bums, they weren't mess ups, basically, you know what I mean? They were human beings.
Ache and you and the leaders just said, go talk to someone. And I'd never just given someone a meal and talked to them before.
Not only did we like make the food ourselves, and it was really a communal effort to kind of bring it forth, but we also got to go out and just give these people that desperately wanted food something to eat. And it was an amazing feeling just being able to kind of be there for someone in need with something that you yourself made.
The very first night, we went all the way down to the end, and there was a guy there with all of his dogs.
I believe his name is Richard, and he lived on the corner, and he had, I want to say, like 5 dogs.
And he kind of really stood out to me. It was like his dogs what held him together, and he kind of said he was like the protector, kind of like he kind of looked over like the other people. And
I was surprised to see the sort of community that they formed there, and how each person knows who is on the street, and they care for one another, not only themselves.
She pointed out a giant mural of Jesus on a building not too far away, and it was looking directly down onto that street, and I hadn't even noticed it before, but then she points it out, and that like gave her a sense of hope.
It was definitely when I started to get comfortable talking to Alexander, who was one of the homeless people living on the street. Alexander had a huge impact on me, just to see that just like a normal dude, kind of like me, could just be out on the streets like that, but he still had like a really good heart. We served him food, and after he just started talking about his life, and he was talking about the sports he played when he was little. He loved to tell us about this camp that he went to, where he played with a bunch of other people, and he just kept on going and going, and like you don't get to see that when you see someone on like the street. Like everyone just assumes they don't have a life or anything like that. I gotta say, like walking to the Midnight Mission, in the first thing in the morning, you just get to see like everything. It's basically still night, it's still dark outside, so it's really early in the morning, and you just get to see all the homeless people like camping out on the streets. And
walking down the street and seeing the welcome to Skid Row, population 8,000, that painting really it had a big impact on me, because I mean, yeah, you're walking down the street seeing all of these people.
I just have this image in my head walking to Midnight Mission in the morning, and the street is just completely flooded with homeless people up and down the wall. And that's been an image that has stuck by me.
The Midnight Mission there were a lot more people at the Midnight Mission, so you got to really see how many people needed food on Skid Row, and I'm sure that was just like a small portion of the amount of people that actually needed to eat.
At Midnight Mission, actually, when we were serving breakfast, to me one of the hardest things was not giving them extra food when they asked for it.
But the Midnight Mission had to be really strict because they had so many people, but I feel like the Midnight Mission touched me more just because it was so crazy. There were like so many people.
Because you see these people coming in with looks of despair in their faces. This is like some of the only good that they're going to get all day, and you want to give them more.
Seeing how these people had just devoted their lives basically to creating an environment that was truly welcoming to everyone really made me kind of just happy that there are people like that. But also the walk with Kevin, really, it was great to see him having gone from the street to the really nice condominiums that he was now living in, and just how he had kind of gotten his life together. I think that was just his kind of success story made it seem very possible for everyone to be able to get out of the situation if they're given the help.
So I'd met Joseph on the first trip at the Hippie Kitchen, and then I came back the second time and I met him at the Cardinal Center. So it was just kind of crazy that I saw him both times and he remembered my name.
I think for me it was when we'd eat dinner with the men at Cardinal Manning and talking to them and just hearing how far they come and like how happy they were with their lives, even though they were living through in like this horrible place, how happy they were like to live each day and wake up each day and have a new day. They were happier than a lot of people here.
We were told that it's East LA, it's dangerous or whatever, you know what I mean? And I could definitely tell, like, when we were driving, like, in East LA, it was rough.
Even though how dangerous it was, like, there's no first floor there so that the bullets can't hit the kids.
Yeah. But that school, like, it seemed like a little oasis, like, it seemed very happy there.
When we went there, I saw, and when we were placed in the classrooms, I saw this huge motivation from the kids to actually study and get really interactive in school, and just they wanted to be something when they grew up, and they really had this motivation that I don't see every day.
Here we have homework, I don't want to go to school, I just want to sleep, we go out with my friends, but they're genuinely happy to be.
Whenever I talk to my friends, they're like, oh, we have to go to school, take a test, and we have all this problems.
But how happy the kids are just to be there and like get that education.
These kids are living in a really impoverished area. There's housing projects just basically all around there. And if it weren't for this school, these kids could likely end up in gangs.
Just to see them get excited to go to school every day and be excited to do projects and just get involved in their community, not only in their school, but with their church, that really surprised me. And
we got to interact with these kids that are just so full of hope, and got to see them kind of being educated, but just kind of getting out of the cycle. It seemed to be so apparent in every other place we stayed. But what made it more than a school for me was just the fact that it was there for the community. We hosted the dinner, and people came inside the school and just ate breakfast and dinner. And it wasn't restricted to the kids. The doors weren't like locked to the public. And then you had the mission next door, which again put on the brunch or for after mass, and it just seemed very accessible.
I would say the success rate. That's like what initially comes to mind. But like Father Boyle has said multiple times, it's not the success rate that matters. to me, the most inspiring thing was hearing the stories of gang members who had made it out of the like kind of violent scene of LA.
His story was, wow, that was like very, very inspirational.
And he lists the story and how he was still in trouble in a gray area where he might even go back to drug use, but Father G was so accepting.
He went through his whole life and like literally Homeboy Industries changed his life. That was amazing to see how someone who really just couldn't get his act together could just do it like that because of Homeboy Industries.
The love, everybody loves each other. Like gang members who a few weeks or months earlier would have been shooting at each other on the streets are now like shaking hands, cracking jokes, and like baking bread together.
The work that Father Boyle has done is really amazing for me, just because he's not only put on this amazing charity, but he's made it almost self-sustaining, which I think is the best model we saw for getting people out.
In general, it gave me a better sense, I guess, of what it means to be a man for others, in a sense. Because now, instead of like walking down the street and I'll see a homeless person, before this trip, it was like, okay, there's a homeless person, he got himself in this situation, it was drugs, it's all his fault. But now it's more of, all right, let's say he did do those things, but instead of viewing that negatively, let's go ahead and help him basically move forward from there.
It kind of sucks because a lot of those people that you talk to are actually good people, and they've just had, a bump in the road. Prior to the trip, I just thought homeless people were, something wrong with them, bad people, but I got a larger sense of compassion for the needy.